Hey there. Thanks so much for pressing the play button. Welcome in. It's time for Three Guys Before the Game. This is a double preview. It's our Baylor preview and our Pitt preview and more. This is episode number 592, Three Guys Before the Game, and it's brought to us all by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By GoMart, go for good times. Go for GoMart. Get that GoMart rewards card, gomart.com, or download the GoMart app. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans, they sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. In fact, raining so hard today, I took my pontoon and just I brought it over into the parking lot. Yeah, it's in the parking lot right now.
Yeah,
floating.
good idea.
Three Guys also brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way. Start with a Tudor's biscuit. And by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. They sponsor our Spreads on Stats feature. All right, let's do it. Meeting has come to order. See if we have a quorum. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. We do. We're ready to vote. Hoppy Kercheval is with us. El Senatore, Brad Howe is here. And, man, there's a lot going on. And sometimes, you say, boy, there's a lot going on. There's really not a ton going on, but, think about this.
Oh.
So we're here at Thursday afternoon. So tomorrow, you've got WVU men's basketball at Pitt, women's basketball against Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, you've got Mountaineer football. Sunday, Mountaineer men's soccer team plays for the World's Championships. Oh, wait, I forgot something on Friday. WVU women's soccer in Lexington playing in the NCAA tournament against Kentucky. It is an absolute bonanza for a Mountaineer sports fan.
And don't forget that all the high school teams will be gathering at the West Virginia Supreme Court for a little confab.
When?
With their equipment on.
Soon?
Who knows?
Soon?
Who knows? Play-in games that might not mean anything. Games that
or
were supposed
might mean more lawsuits if they're played.
Might mean. You know what you need these days in high school football? You need a good coach, good coordinator, and a good lawyer.
You say in college sports or high school sports?
High school sports.
Oh, college sports too.
Yeah, need a good lawyer.
Same thing.
Should be on the sideline. Get a bad call, file suit.
Well,
a lot going on.
This was not our intent to get into this. However, Brad was chatting about this with me yesterday off air. And normally, those are kind of like lawyer conversations, privileged, you can't release them. but you made a good point. I'm going to speak for you as if you weren't here. And basically what you said, what we're seeing now in high school sports, and not only in West Virginia but across the country, is the trickle-down effect of what colleges have started to do. So a decade and a half ago or so, right, 15 years ago, when a body that was in charge of these organizations or schools would make a ruling, that was it. Okay? Then little by little, you start, getting a little bit, they get a little anxious. They might make an appeal. And then, as you know, the appeal was always like, see ya, that's the ruling. And then it went 180. And schools and colleges aggressively began to sue and basically thumb their nose at the body of which they make the rules for. And this is just trickling down now to the high schools. Now the high schools are doing it. It was unheard of for a high school to challenge 15 years ago. Now it's commonplace.
It is. One thing to keep in mind, and we'll see what happens here, is that I know what you're saying, Tony, and I agree with both of you. And we're in a very litigious society. But also, historically, with the SSAC, when there's a legal complaint or that's filed and trying to stop or force the SSAC to do something, ends up before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court comes back and says, this is the ruling body. We're not going to get into scheduling who plays whom. It's up to the SSAC. I'm not saying that's what they're going to rule, but that is historically what they've done. Otherwise, the Supreme Court would be hearing every complaint about every grievance in high school sports. So at some point, you have to have a governing body and just say, look, they need to decide. And that's what I think will happen here, but...
And yet on the college side, that's the exact opposite of what has happened. That has not happened. The courts have decided to hear and rule and put their stamp on the way the landscape is going. So that's been different. So if there's a trickle-down effect, that might not stay, and past precedent might not hold. We'll have to see.
Why not?
So, if you were doing a Spreads on Stats segment on this, What's the odds that the Supreme Court just says SSAC makes the rules, follow what they say? What do you think, Senator? Can you put a number on it?
No, I'm not the bookmaker on this.
Do one of those plus 150s or plus minus 200, something like that.
Not well enough versed in the court system.
Hoppy
on this one.
I would, Brad. You know, if you're making if you're making a prediction based on history, which it's true until it's not true.
They call that precedent, right, in the legal world. Yeah.
I think the odds are that the court finds that they let the SSAC sort this out, but who knows? I mean, that's historically what has happened. We'll see.
You know what they say about historical trends, though, in the sports betting space?
What do they say?
Don't mean anything.
All right. That's all we're doing on that. Next topic.
Thank goodness, because it's complicated.
Sad is what it is. It's sad.
What is it? And there's so many tentacles to it.
Sure.
I mean, you know who's probably the best player on the high school basketball team, the high school wrestling team, right? The kid who's on the football team. So now you're starting to potentially affect those sports, because if you're going to delay and push everything back by a week or who knows how long,
it has a huge impact.
Oh,
I mean, it's impacted the senator.
Yeah.
I mean, here's this guy. He was supposed to do the TV broadcast first weekend of December on Metro News TV. They moved it at least 1 week now. My boy's out. Wide ranging. I mean,
well, I think my announcing schedule is probably a dot on the landscape of the.
Well, I mean,
you can bring legal action.
It takes you out of a paycheck now. I mean, there's a chance those Howl girls now don't have the same kind of Christmas because you're not going to do that game.
Hopefully, this gets resolved quickly. Now, even when it gets resolved, though, there's going to be a bunch of unhappy people, coaches, kids, parents, the whole thing. So.
There is no answer that will satisfy everybody. Okay, you're going to have aggrieved parties in this.
Yes.
I agree with that.
Yes.
Whatever you do.
Some of them are going to lose in court. Some of them are going to lose on the field.
Yeah.
Just the way that's going to be.
It's going to be like it's going to end up being like COVID. Somebody call somebody on Thursday and say, "Can we come over Friday and play a ball game with you?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Anyway.
Time now for Hoppy's obvious observations. These are observations that Hoppy really works toward each week to give us an overview of what the world champion Mountaineers are about to get themselves into. And ladies and gentlemen, now
they're typed this week.
We're going to have, hopefully, I'm not going to say what it is, but in the next 2 to 3 episodes, we're going to have a very special addition to Hoppy's obvious observations.
Oh,
That's
really?
all I'll say for now. Go ahead, Hoppy.
All right. Okay, I'll start with the couple of really obvious observations. One is that, on one hand, you could say, too bad this game is not on the road because you play better on the road this year than at home. But on the other hand, Baylor's never won here. So there's that.
See how he pulled a Bobby Bowden on that? Did you hear that, Senator? Did you hear what he did? Now, West Virginia plays better on the road, but Baylor hasn't won here. So I say play it at the Go Martin Flatwoods, middle of the ground.
So there's that. Also, you're looking at, can you get to 7 wins some point, right? Can you get to 7? I think 7 takes the heat off of Neil Brown. If you end up 6-6, there's going to be, you're mediocre. There's going to be a lot of grumbling. So getting to 7 or more certainly starts with this game against Baylor. Here's some obvious statistics, and I look forward to the senator just dismantling these because mine are just obvious. Baylor Nation is talking about getting this team, Brad, to where they expect to be. Had a bad start. Now they've won 3 in a row. So now they're saying, okay, are they getting on track here? So that's the first thing. Baylor is averaging 34 points a game this season, but during the 3-game stretch where they've won 3 in a row, they're averaging 45 points a game.
Ouch.
Including scoring 59 against Texas Tech.
Senator, can we get some regression to the mean this week?
Dave Aranda benched. Toledo transferred to Quan Finn and went with Heisman Trophy candidate Sawyer Robertson.
I hadn't seen that.
Well, the Mississippi State transfer has been hot.
He is playing well.
And they've been getting yards after catch. Their top 6 receivers averaging 14 yards per catch. 14 yards per catch. Aranda has said they're the healthiest they've been all year. I think they might get a couple guys back on defense. And even though Aranda is known as a defensive coach, Baylor has averaged giving up 35 points a game. Back to Robertson. There's 3-game stretch where he's been red hot. And again, you look for regression to the mean, completing 60% of his passes, averaging 239 yards a game, 8 touchdowns, just 1 interception. And they have a run game. Bryson Washington is averaging 130 yards a game in the last 3 games. And because of his success, Dom Richardson has left the team. That was one of their big stories this week. But Dom Richardson, Brad, wasn't playing because Byron Washington was getting it done. Baylor is even on turnover margin. West Virginia is -4. Baylor's favored by 2.5. So guess what, Brad? It's another pick'em game at Milan Puskar Stadium.
Hoppy's obvious observations are brought to us by the Three Guys Mirror Company. Just look at the mirror and you know what you're going to get. It's Hoppy's obvious observations. Senator, can you give us some high-altitude general themes before you jump into the numbers?
Yeah, I can. You mentioned, Hop, the hotness of Baylor. It's interesting. In that 3-game losing streak, if you look a little closer, they were close. Lost on a Hail Mary and lost on a missed 27-yard field goal. They probably should have won 5 out of 6. And so I think a lot of people were hoping the Dave Aranda slide would continue by the time West Virginia got to this Baylor game. That's certainly not the case. This team is playing well. But so is West Virginia. These teams are a combined 5-0 in their last 5 games. Right. Here's another stat on that, Hop. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Only 6 of the 16 Big 12 teams have at least a 2-game winning streak right now. Only 6 of 16.
Wow.
These are 2 of them.
Yeah.
Right? Baylor's won 3, West Virginia's won 2, last 2 on the road. West Virginia now returns home. So I'm anxious to watch this, and there's a bunch of questions to go into, but I think there's 2 primary questions, and some of this we'll answer when we get into the spreads on stats segment. But if Garrett Green is back and healthy and returns to start, how does he look? How is he able to play? Can he throw it? Can he run it? Can Garrett Green be Garrett Green in this game without any turnovers? Because turnovers are going to be the story in this game one way or the other, number one. And then number 2, maybe even a more obvious question is, can this defense get anywhere in the same ballpark of what it was last week?
You mean score 21 points?
No, they're not going to score. They're not going to score 2 touchdowns. But they played really well outside of those scoring drives as well, or those scoring turnover plays. Can that defense, which now will not have the element of surprise that it did last week, still be able to do some things against a Baylor team that, by the way, guys, will be the 3rd consecutive team West Virginia will face coming off an open week. Mm-hmm. Now, last week against Cincinnati, it was a wash because West Virginia was coming off its as well. But it's situational advantage here for Baylor, getting a West Virginia team that's been on the road the last 2 weeks. They've been sitting for a week watching the new defensive scheme that Jeff Kuhn's put in. So big challenge for West Virginia coming up on Saturday. I think that's my obvious observation right there.
Got to heat him up. He'll get the ball out of his hands quickly. You got to heat him up.
And West Virginia showed in the last game more pressure.
Yep, they showed last week they're going to pressure. So the only way you can heat someone up is get him into medium to long range yardage situations, which means you have to do what? Slow down their run.
Right.
So that's key number 1. If you can slow down the run, then go from there. But you're right. They have a handful. They don't have 1 or 2 guys that can make plays after they catch the ball. They've got a bunch of guys that can make plays in space. And so that is a concern. Stop the run, number 1, and then when the situation allows itself, you're not necessarily going to sack him, but you've got to at least make him throw under duress. All right? D-U-R-E-S-S.
Not
D-R-E.
Right.
S-S.
But that's a group effort too, though, because if you can't get home and he gets it off, then your 2nd and 3rd level or 3rd level has to be close to those guys to bring them down, which West Virginia's been pretty good tackling team this year, but that's the second piece of that.
Yeah, proximity is nice in pass defense.
And it was there last week,
yeah,
right?
It was. Yeah. Yes, it was. 3 Guys Before the Game brought to us by the folks at Comax Business Systems. Business owners, if you've been holding back, waiting, say, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe we do. As far as business phone systems go, pull the trigger, because as we head toward the end of the year, might be a really good time to do it right now. Comax will come into your place of business. They will give you a free consultation, look things over, and give you the best scenario for you when it comes to a business phone systems. They can do any size, 1 line to 1,000 lines. They can actually do that. Whether you want to buy it, lease it, rent it, give them 4 chickens and a bag of carrots,
No, you
trade
can't.
it out,
No.
whatever you want to do.
No, you can't do that.
They take care of all size customers because I called Bob this week down there at Comex
Yeah.
because I've got a Comex printer.
Okay.
And
Did you give him chickens for it? No, you didn't.
no,
Okay.
I didn't. But I gave him a scenario. He sent me a picture of a unit printer. So I said, okay, let me take a look at the code. So I put it in there. And started looking at the specs. Could print 1,600 pages, like continuous. I went, might be a bit excessive, maybe for what I need.
I mean, that'd be fine. You never know when you're going to need 1,600s. I think the bigger challenge for you is you'd have to put an addition on the house to be able to house it.
Yeah, I had to do
that was
some
an industrial strength unit.
Yeah, I
there.
had to do some measuring to see, and we would have if we took the picture window out.
I mean, it was nice.
We could. Yeah, it was.
It was
it's
a nice
gonna work.
unit.
Yeah. So anyway,
Might
we're
be
gonna
able to drive your
but
car from
he's
it.
working. I mean, they're going to say, okay, just tell me your best. What do you need to do with it, and I'll
That's what you need. That's what you want.
Yeah,
you don't know what you're doing or asking for.
Correct.
So you ask the experts. Here's what I'm trying to do. Can you give me the answer? And he said, absolutely, I got it. I'll handle it.
From A to
That's what
Z,
you
they
want.
got you taken care of.
Yes.
I mean, that if you translate the word Comex, I don't know if you know this. The Greek in the word Comex means whatever you need.
Didn't know that.
I just made it up.
Okay.
All right, so let's. You ready to do a little something here?
Yeah.
Okay. Show's moving pretty quickly because we're already on to spreads on stats. But don't worry about it. We'll delay it for some reason a little bit later on. So let's do spreads.
We still have basketball to get into after we do all this.
Backyard brawl on the court. Yeah.
Into the analytics portion of the show.
It's got a catchy beat, doesn't it?
5, 4, 3, 2.
Spreads on Stats is brought to us by Conley CPA Group. This is our super deep dive into the numbers because Conley CPA Group provides to you as a client value beyond numbers, complete service public accounting, and consultation. They will tell you the best way to do what you need to do when it comes to your business. Clients in all 55 counties and surrounding states getting ready for their 40th anniversary. They've stood the test of time. They're really good people. If you need accounting services, outsourcing your accounting, they can do that. Outsource your CFO, they can do that. It's Conley CPA Group.
The over-under number is
Senator's been really busy. This is the second show in a row that we've been doing these double previews. So we've got hoopage and we've got footballage. And let's jump in first off. We're not going to do it in chronological order because basketball does become before football. But we're going to do football first. Is that correct, Senator?
Yes, we'll do football first, then we'll move over into basketball. We'll just talk about it, then we'll dive into some numbers on basketball.
Can I ask you a question before
Sure.
we start?
Mm-hmm.
Like after you got done processing all these numbers and you did your review and you had big whiteboards all over the house and you're doing right this and you had sundial here and moving all the abacuses and stuff like that. Just give me the end story.
Coin flip game.
Coin flip.
This because here's the thing, guys, and we say this a lot. The numbers mature at this point, so you feel like you should have some more certainty in the numbers. But do you feel like you have certainty about this West Virginia team?
No.
There's 2 major questions I just asked, and no number is going to give you the answer on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Health of the quarterback and his performance, whether that's Garrett or Nico, number 1. And number 2, this defense. It's a different defensive setup than what it was previously. So do all the numbers and some I'm going to give you again, do those numbers matter? Because this is a new group, but this new group also has some parameters in place around it this game that it didn't have last week. So here we are in game, what is this, 10?
9.
9? No,
10.
10. Game 10.
Wow.
And you're still asking some major questions about 2 major positions. And so if you were to tell me Garrett's going to play and start, and he's going to be really good, and there's not going to be any turnovers, and he's going to scramble for 50-plus yards, I'd say just on that alone, feel pretty good about West Virginia. If turnovers come into play and throws are off and Garrett doesn't look sharp because he's trying to knock off rust, it's been almost a month, then I've got some concerns.
Sure.
Defensively, if you tell me you can be in close proximity to what you did last week, even without the defensive scores, feel pretty good again. But those are all unknowns at this point. So let's try and put some certainty to something that is very uncertain in this game and talk about some keys or some questions that fall into keys for this game. First and foremost, let's take offense. Let's take that offensive discussion we just had and ask this question, Hop.
Mm-hmm.
Can West Virginia run it against Baylor? And if they can't run it, can they throw it? And here's why I'm asking both of those questions. Baylor's defense is coming off a game in which it just posted a 91.6 PFF grade versus TCU. Frogs ran it 32 times for just $105, 3.3 yards per carry. That 91.6, I just did a quick glance at their season chart, and I think PFF does 12 categories. Take out their game against Charlton State. So those 11 other games, or those 9 other games they've played, I think I only saw 3 90 grades in any category. So that tells you how hard it is to get a 90 grade, especially in conference play. The Bears did it on the ground. On the season, Baylor's defense is 22nd nationally in EPA per rush, expected points added per rush. Those, remember, are successful, very successful plays for the offense, and Baylor hasn't allowed very many of them on the ground. Over the last 3 weeks, all Baylor wins, the Bears have the lowest boom percentage in the Big 12. That's from our friends at SIS, Sports Info Solutions, of course.
SIS.
The boom percentage means the percentage of rushes that resulted in an EPA of at least 1. Very successful play. So they have not allowed many of those, is what that stat tells you. Over the last 3 weeks, the Bears defense has given up the fewest rushing yards in that span. So just all those rush defense numbers have been very good during this winning streak for Baylor. The passing defense, though, has been a different story. The Bears are 123rd in EPA per pass, and that's out of 134 teams. So that's down near the bottom. Baylor's given up the 3rd most passing yards in the Big 12 over the last 3 weeks. So can you run it against a defense that's been very good? If you can't, can you throw it against a pass defense that probably hasn't been very good? Can I ask another question before I answer that question?
Sure.
Yes.
Is Hudson Clement available? And if Hudson Clement's available, is Hudson Clement 100%? That's a hamstring injury. You're in a receiver that's explosive playing in cold weather. Can Huddy be 100%? Because I think you're going to need Hudson to be back in this game and have your full complement of receivers. Here's a number that may surprise you. West Virginia's offense has been better in the pass game than the run game when it comes to expected points added per play. West Virginia 41st nationally in EPA per pass, just 56th in EPA per rush. So does that fit into what West Virginia wants to do to throw it? You just saw a passing offense last week that didn't look very good. But you saw a running offense that didn't look very good. In fact, in 2 of the last 3 games, West Virginia's recorded the lowest pass grades of the season. And during that same time, West Virginia's offense has recorded the 3 lowest run grades of the season. Now, does that give you optimism or pessimism? The optimistic point would tell you, yeah, and you haven't been playing very well on offense, and you just won your last 2 games on the road. So where does that stand? I realize I'm giving you more questions here than I'm giving answers, but I think that's where we are with this particular group. How about Justin Robinson? Can he step forth again? How about his performance last week? Was pretty good, right? Hanging on to that catch in the end zone. He was your leading receiver with 60 yards, caught the only touchdown pass of the day, and he's starting to have a little bit of a George Campbell type season.
Oh,
remember George Campbell that all he did was
Sure.
catch touchdown
That's all he
passes?
did, yeah.
Robinson has moved into 30% of his catches are touchdown passes. 3 touchdowns, 10 catches. Can he get some more use? He had your 3rd best offensive grade last week. Here's another number for Robinson. He's now 2nd in the Big 12 in EPA per target among receivers with 10 or more catches.
Did you say 2nd?
2nd in the entire Big 12.
Well, should feed number 2 the rock then.
So can he have a game for you? That would help out a lot as well. All right, here's another key. We just mentioned this. How close to last week's defensive performance can you get? And I mentioned, Hop, I threw in there that element of surprise. I do think that helped West Virginia last week. They did different things than they had done previous to that, and it clearly was a major issue for what was a good Cincinnati offense. Listen, West Virginia brought pressure. You guys mentioned that. Their alignments were different at times. They disguised coverage better than they have all year. So that was Cincinnati got a totally different defense than West Virginia had played previously, and I don't just mean because of the results. That's what led to Sorsby struggling so much. That wasn't just Sorsby had a bad game. He was forced into a bad game by what West Virginia was doing on a bunch of different plays. But Baylor's going to be prepared, Hoppy, for some of those chess moves, right? We've seen Jake Spavital here for years. He knows what he's doing offensively and has an extra week to prepare to get ready for some of those. So here's another question we'll ask in this part of it. Does Jeff Coons have another chess move to counter what Spavital is going to do to counter Coons' first chess move of the week? What's this defense look like this week? Here's a stat. This is just one number on the defense on how far it has come in just a couple of weeks. Against Kansas State, The Wildcats put up an EPA per dropback, so an expected points added per dropback, that was in the 95th percentile. That's really good. Versus Cincinnati, the Bearcats had an EPA per dropback that was in the 43rd percentile. And quite frankly, that might be high, because I think you should note some of that passing success came late when West Virginia was saying, fine, you want to throw it underneath, you can throw it underneath all you want. We're just not going to give up a big play because you don't have time to march down the field on us, which ultimately worked. So it was a 43rd percentile performance. It might have been lower than that even. That's a heck of a couple-week turnaround for this West Virginia defense. So again, how closely can they mirror that coming in back at home, but against what's a very good Baylor offense? Okay, I got one more for you. Another key. Hop, I wrote this last week, the field position angle.
Oh, my.
We talked about this on Sunday's show after the Cincinnati game. Bearcats came into that game ranked number 1 in opponent field position, number 1 nationally. And thanks to that great defensive performance and really strong special teams play, West Virginia walks out of Nippert with a plus 20-yard field position advantage. We've said this many times on the show. You get to plus 10, it's almost assuredly a win. West Virginia was double that at plus 20. Just remarkable. Well, here comes Baylor, 13th nationally in net field position. I bring this up because this was a real problem last year for West Virginia against Baylor. Remember, they took 2 kickoffs back to the house?
I recall that, yes.
Almost cost West Virginia the game. The Bears had a plus 8 field position advantage, but couldn't get the win, thanks to the legendary play by Zach Frazier and an incredible wheel route call and execution to Jaheim to end that game. But here's the difference from that game last year to this year, and Neil talked about it all offseason and this season so far, that kick coverage was going to be a priority. It was a problem last year, not only in Baylor, but against Houston, if you remember as well.
Yeah, I recall that.
That was a problem. This year, however, the West Virginia kick coverage unit sits number 3 nationally
in the world
in opponent starting field position. That's per bcftoys.com, bcftoys.com.
They related to CIS at all?
They're not. Different group. That's pretty darn good, guys.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a one-year turnaround. So can you keep that in check? Can West Virginia perform at that level, not let Baylor get hot on some special teams? And can West Virginia replicate a performance from Pac-Man Fox in particular from last week and win in that field position battle? So that's a little, if you want a game within the game, not only just turnovers, but watch field position coming up Saturday.
And what you're saying is that you don't know what you're going to get offensively. Maybe have a little more confidence defensively after last week. Is you need other things. You need turnovers. You need outstanding special teams play. That's why you won the game last week, obviously, because of what the defense did and because special teams did. So you need a couple other things in order to have a victory.
It's quite a fascinating game, I think, for a couple of reasons. One being that both of these teams have had some real low points in their season. And as Brad said, the scary thing about Baylor is, I mean, the loss to Colorado, the loss to BYU probably shouldn't have been losses. The fact they went to Lubbock and rang up over half a hundy on those guys on the road, they're scary. That's scary. That's one thing. So mentally, they feel really good about themselves. Mm-hmm. But you could make that very same point for West Virginia. Hey, we suffered our lumps against Iowa State, but we're right there at halftime of that game. Kansas State, same thing. It's anybody's game at halftime. And we blew it. Mm-hmm. Well, now you come back home, man, and these are the 2 defining games of your season. If I were to say to you before the season began, okay, guys, it's November, and these are the 2 games to define our season. We have our home field. Here comes Baylor, and here comes UCF. Ultimately, this is how you'll be determined defining your season. This is going to become the characterization of whether your season was a success or a failure. So these are those games that you have to find a way to win. Plain and simple. Don't care what it takes. You find a way to win this football game. And you can make a very strong case that Baylor statistically, I think, could come in here and beat you. So you have got to break the numbers like you did last week.
It's really similar, though. You start to go down season long on both of these teams, and most categories are fairly close. I mean, there's a reason the line is what it is. West Virginia opened as a small favorite. It's flipped to Baylor as a small favorite. This truly is a coin flip game. You've got it at home, which you like. Here's one other thing to watch, and it goes back to that first point about can you run it or not. And how I don't know how many times we've said this. I'll continue to say it. some players are going to have to make plays. Last week they did. They were on the defensive side of the ball, but you had guys step up and make plays, make winning plays, not just good plays, winning plays. Does that happen this week, and who does it? One, you're going to need it defensively, but I keep going back to this quarterback position. Let's say it's Garrett Green. Let's say Garrett gets the start. And I'm going on an assumption there based on he was medically cleared last week to play, albeit in an emergency role. If he's performed this week, you're going to go to Garrett Green. I've said this before. He is the leading rusher on this team, both yards but also in EPA, expected points added per rush. His ability to scramble could be a difference maker. So can Garrett be back to Garrett? Can he knock some of that rust off? Does that 4 weeks off or 3 weeks off hop turn into rest and health and a really performance from Garrett that you would expect, or does it turn into something that it is rusty and he's not ready to go? I think this is a massive question, but here's the part to watch. We mentioned how hard it is to run on Baylor, but if you do, you probably win the game. In their 4 losses, listen to these rushing yardages.
Here we go. Here's some magic right now.
Utah went for $185. Iowa State went for $265. Whew. BYU went for $150, found a way to win. Colorado went for $143, which for them is about $1,043 because they don't want to run it, right? They just want to chuck it and throw it with Shedeur Sanders and those receivers, and I get it. But they ran it for $143. 4.2 yards a carry for Colorado, 4 for BYU, 6 yards a carry for Iowa State. And Utah's success on the ground. But here's the little niche part. This is where you watch it if Green's available. Psst, psst. And this is a difference maker, potentially.
Niche.
In all of these games, listen to these numbers. Cam Rising for Utah scrambled just one time. I think that was the game he got injured. He only played 30 plays. Ran it one time, went for 25 yards. Rocco averaged 9 yards per scramble in that game. Jake Retzlaff for BYU was BYU's leading rusher with 51 yards. 30 of those came on scrambles, 10 yards per carry. Colorado, Shedeur Sanders, 65 yards in scramble yards was their leading rusher. You put Garrett Green back there as a scrambler, that's a different element. So as good as this Baylor run defense has been, if you get a healthy Garrett Green, his ability to tuck and take might be a difference in this game. Because if you can run it, Hop, you feel really good about winning this game.
Yeah, agreed, but that's a big if because you don't know. I mean, Garrett Green, if he's back, but is he disinclined to run because he just got really, really shaken up?
If he's on the field, he's going to run.
I don't think Garrett Green's ever disinclined to run.
Okay.
I'll just go on record as saying that, right? Maybe I'm dead wrong. That guy doesn't seem like he's going to say, well, I got dinged, I'm not running.
What was one of the reasons, what was the biggest reason why West Virginia struggled to run last week?
Couldn't throw it.
Yeah. So, and teams, I mean, you're at a point in the season where I don't think any defense of an opponent is concerned that you're going to throw it downfield on them all day long.
Correct.
So they're going to say, look, let's stop the run. Let's sell out to stop the run. And if you beat us, okay.
Agree. But when do you scramble? You don't scramble. A scramble is not a designed run. A scramble is on a pass. That's where those yards are coming. So they can say all they want. We're going to load up on the run. You drop back to pass. They're going to come after you. That's when those gaps open. That's my point. That's where you can take advantage of them if it's Garrett Green versus Nico.
Unless they have a really good spy.
Okay. They didn't in those 4 games. They did not. That's now a trend. There have been multiple quarterbacks that have had running success scrambling, and none of them have the scrambling ability of a Garrett Green.
Yeah.
I'd watch that number closely.
If it's Garrett.
Will it be Garrett?
I think the lean is to Garrett.
Okay.
If it's Garrett, I just hope that he feels good and he lets her rip. Garrett's got to be Garrett. You got to do all those things. And standing in the pocket is not – living in the pocket is not his best suit. Mm-hmm. It's his ability to threaten with the run, then throw it occasionally, but also take off, get your ass down, slide, don't take any more hits, and play the next play.
He's a difference maker at quarterback with that ability to get outside. If he's playing, that's a massive bonus for West Virginia.
3 guys before the game, brought to us by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. Got a call from a long 3 guys listener this week. Said his name was Noah. Said spends a lot of time building boats himself, but when he doesn't build the boat that he's been, he's a self boat builder.
Okay,
does it at home. Been working on it for years.
Measuring by cubits.
Yeah, he is. But he says, when I do my recreational boating, I go to Lou Wendell Marine Sales. I said, that's interesting. No, you do? He said, yeah. I said, why? He said, well, they're the premier pontoon boat dealer in the state of West Virginia. Been doing it for about 100 years, over near almost 50 years. Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. And so if you're someone that doesn't want to build your own piece by piece, then visit Lou Wendell Marine Sales. They sell the Avalon pontoon boats manufactured right here in America, in the state of Michigan. And also those G3 John boats. Those are nice. That's a pretty G3 John boat right there. They got all of them. Pontoons, G3s, everything you need to get in water. LouWendellMarineSales.com. That's LouWendellMarineSales.com.
You ever see in every marina, Tony, there's always one boat where you know somebody did it themselves. Right?
Yeah. I got a couple of refrigerator boxes.
I don't need to buy one. I build it myself. You look at it and you go, yeah, it's pretty evident you did.
Most of the time it starts with a repurposed carport. got to use the carport roof. Get a couple things down there, and yeah, she's real nice.
Yeah. Only cost me.
Yep, exactly.
$1,200.
Why would I pay all that money? I did it myself.
Yeah.
Three guys before the game brought to us by Gomart. Tuesdays are awesome days right now at Gomart's. Here's why. Up until New Year's Eve, Triple Point Tuesdays, you earn not once, not twice, but thrice the points if you have your Gomart rewards card, and that means your points will save up super fast. They got a thing going called Merry Madness. If you can collect all of their 4 Merry Madness game tokens before the 31 of December, you get 2,500 bonus points every single time you do it, and that's like unbelievable. So check it out. Triple Point Tuesdays. Get those Merry Madness game tokens. Visit Gomart. You never know. You might see Hoppy there. Continuing with Conley CPA, spreads. What do we call this thing? Stats on spreads, spreads on stats, game behind the game. What is it? What do you call it?
What was hoops?
Spreads on. That's what it is. Spreads on stats.
Can I give you my
Oh, you have a separate who for basketball?
Well, just it's an obvious observation.
Senator, how about him? We're reaching out.
Very prepared today.
I like
it.
Is.
Well, great test early, going to play a difficult team on the road, rivalry game.
Preach it.
And I was thinking that, when Darren DeVries got here, I'm sure Brad, when he got here, he was here probably 20 minutes, probably just parked his car, and somebody said, you got to play Pitt. You got to go to the Pitt. You got to play the Pitt game. And he's not new to rivalries, like the Drake-Northern Illinois rivalry.
Northern Iowa.
Oops.
Same thing.
Northern Illinois, Northern Iowa rivalry.
Northern.
But they haven't done the Pitt rivalry. So got to go up there, got to play on the road. None of these players know about the Pitt-West Virginia rivalry. So it'll be the first thing to watch for is how the team responds in that environment on the road against a difficult opponent in a rivalry game.
Right. Agree.
That's the first thing to watch for.
Correct.
Agree.
That's all I got.
You said first thing to watch for. That should mean there's a second thing to watch for.
Yeah, you go for you take number 2. You
I'll
take 2,
say
3,
this.
4, and 5.
I'll say this with no scientific backing on this. I'll be really surprised if the Mountaineers appear to be impacted by the intensity of the rivalry or of the game.
Really?
I really do, and here's why. Okay. In nowadays basketball, these guys have been so tested through time, right? You talk about, Tucker DeVries played over 100 games. Javon Smalls played over 100 games. Toby O'Connor's played over 100 games. Pitt's got a dude. He's played 299 games. Seriously, I forgot. This dude from Temple they got. You remember did you? So I'm doing my charts getting ready for this game. And I got this database, and it saves my bio notes. And I'm going through Pitt, and I click on this kid on Pitt's roster, and all of his bio notes are there. And I said, wait a second. How could the bio notes be there? This new roster. I'm looking at it. Well, we played against him last year. He was on Houston. My man played 4 at Temple. He played 4 at Temple. He played 1 at Houston, and now he's at Pitt.
Damian Dunn.
Yeah, Damian Dunn. And he's good. Mm-hmm. And he's 112th, 113th game, something like that. So my point is, unlike in the past, when you went up there with a bunch of young kids that would get overwhelmed by it, these guys are all right, fine.
Okay.
So they'll play. Now, if that's going to be good enough remains to be seen, but I don't think they sweat.
All right. Okay. I defer to you on that.
Senator, agree, disagree?
No, I agree. I agree with that because I think this team has shown it's got a little stuff to it. It got a little stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it will elevate up from that. Now that doesn't mean you're going to make shots. That doesn't mean you're going to not turn over. There's some things that go with that. But I think when they walk in and they get there and that student section starts yip yapping, I think you're going to get some guys that go, okay, all right, let's go. Now we got it.
Yeah.
We understand what this is.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It is. I agree with you though. It is a step up, and it's a significant step in competition and on the road. So that's absolutely something that's new because this going on the road for this West Virginia team. That's something new. They haven't done that yet. So I think that's an appropriate first question for this game: is how will that look for WV on the road? And listen, this is a good Pitt team, guys. They had struggled for a number of years, but turned it around last year. We saw them come into the Coliseum and start bombing threes, and were very good. And that's a Pitt team that was disappointed that it did not make the NCAA tournament last year. They come into this one 3-0 overall. They're 27th in the KenPom.com rankings. So their highest ranked opponent so far this season, 121st ranked Murray State.
Pacers.
Panthers have also beaten number 230 Radford and our guy Darius Nichols.
They didn't beat them. They damn near killed them.
And number 229, Gardner Webb, just earlier this week. West Virginia comes in ranked currently number 75 in the KenPom rankings. They have good size.
What does West Virginia's opponent list look? What's UMass at right now?
UMass was 109 when West Virginia played them.
Okay.
I'll tell you that, though, real quick. Robert Morris, 300 as we sit today. UMass dropped to 119 after West Virginia beat it.
Okay.
So there you go. The size for Pitt is something to watch. So they're going to play three guys that are 6'10 or taller.
Ouch.
So watch this size. And befitting of a team with great size, what do they try and do? They try and block every single shot that goes up. They are going to come after you defensively. And Hop, what's interesting, their best shot blocker isn't one of those biggest guys. It's 6'6" Zach Austin, who ranks 23rd nationally in block percentage. He's the 23rd ranked player out of 2,360 players. Zach Austin. So this will be a good pump fake game. You get in the lane, pump fake it.
Big land on two game.
Yeah, this is a big get in the paint, land on two.
Land on two.
Pump it, get those big guys up, lean in, get a foul, Hop. So keep an eye on that. The shot blockers will be out in force for Pitt. Their guards are very, very good. Jalen Lowe and Ish Leggett are aggressive. They're going to push it in transition. They're going to put their head down and try and get to the basket. Even if you're back in transition, they're going to give you, is that right? You're back on transition. Here I go right to the basket. So guard-on-guard matchups here are going to be good. Their strength of their team is the guards. The strength of the West Virginia team is the guards. Watch Sincere Harris getting low. That's the first matchup to watch. And also, Hop, I'm going to say it every game, but watch it in this one. Non-conference games on the road, pay attention to the officiating style.
Now, why do you have to start that already? I mean, why do you have to put that one out there?
Because it's part of the game.
Part of the game.
I'm
So
sure.
if we're going to evaluate shot blockers, and we're going to evaluate guards, and we're going to evaluate your ability to make threes, you know what else we're going to evaluate, Hop?
What?
The officiating style. Do they let it go? Do they call it tight? I've said before, and maybe I revise my statement if you get against a Houston or somebody like that really likes to get up and push. I think West Virginia wants to let it go. I think your preference is don't pay attention to what Sincere Harris is doing to Lowe coming off a screen. Don't blow a whistle. Just let him play ball and see how that works. Because what you do not want is to get up in that building and have a couple quick fouls on Tucker, a couple quick fouls on Small, a couple quick fouls on Harris. That's going to change the game significantly.
Completely.
So if those officials go in wanting to call every ticky-tack, knick-knack foul, then you're going to be in a potential problem. Go in there and just let the guys play.
I hope they do.
There's my early call.
I saw the list of the three. I got a feeling. I hope these guys here. My lean on these three guys is they're more apt to let it go than they are to make it a whistle fest. Fingers are crossed that they do.
An important key to the game.
One of those officials may have already worked a Mountaineer game this year. So,
okay, here's some numbers.
Familiarity.
Those were kind of just the overview things. Here's some numbers. Teams have shot it well from Pitt, Hop, from the right wing three. Right wing three. Teams are making 58% of their shots from that spot.
Wow.
Hop, would you like to guess what West Virginia's best spot on the floor is from a field goal percentage standpoint so far?
Same place?
Right wing threes, hitting at a 44% clip. That's also been West Virginia's most frequent shot region. 15% of his total shots have come from that right wing. Tucker, Javon, and Jonathan Powell have been money from this spot. 7 of 11 from 3, 64% from that right wing. Watch that right wing. See if that trend holds. Again, small sample size for both teams, but that's been a spot that's been effective for West Virginia, and that's been a spot that Pitt has left itself vulnerable in.
You know, when you say right wing, he gets all excited. He does. He thinks he's back doing his other show that he does. He just kind of it warms the cockles of his heart.
Me saying right wing probably won't elicit as many emails and text messages as you normally get when you say it.
I get a lot when I say that.
Yeah.
All right, one last thing, because I know this is long with a lot of numbers. We talked about one of the foundational pieces for Darren DeVries is the don't turn it over offensively. Do not turn it over, right? It makes him lose his mind. When you turn it over, give away possessions. And Tony, what's the worst kind of turnover? All turnovers aren't created equal. What's the worst kind?
The ones that are live.
Live ball turnovers. How about this? Versus UMass, 20% of West Virginia's possessions resulted in a live ball turnover. So that will not make Coach DeVries very happy. Luckily for West Virginia, UMass only averaged 1 point per possession on those plays. That was down in the 40th percentile. So West Virginia caught a little bit of a break there. There were a bunch of turnovers that came in live games, live ball turnovers, that didn't affect West Virginia. Go to the other side of that, though. West Virginia got a live ball turnover on 17% of UMass's possessions and scored at nearly 1.6 points per possession, up in the 82nd percentile. So if you want to look at a specific, I'm really giving you a niche-on-niche category there, but West Virginia won that. They were more efficient with its live ball turnovers than UMass was, and that ended up being a big difference. Points off turnovers, that's going to be a big part of the game coming up Friday. Both teams are in the top 15% nationally in points off turnovers, so watch that category as well.
Mm-hmm. Last week, we were talking with Corey Barnett, Mountaineer assistant coach this week, and their game plan last week, they noticed that UMass had the propensity to really buy shot fakes. They would up into the air. So their whole game plan was to get them up and then to take it to the rim, and they won that game in large part because of their free throw shooting. They had a lot more free throws, and they made a lot more free throws. And so I'll be interested. They're not, haven't asked them yet, but like, okay, where's Pitt? What does Pitt do that's a weakness that you're going to try to exploit? And you'll find out. Maybe they do. Maybe since they do block a lot of shots, maybe they do buy a lot of fakes, and then you go up and get them. But you're right, Brad. This Mountaineer team, not only in this game, but for the rest of the season, they do not have the depth to afford themselves getting into foul trouble. And if you've got some of your keys, i.e. a Sincere Harris or whomever, or a Toby Okani or a Tucker DeVries, it is a severe depreciation of your efficiency when those guys sit.
And that's just going to happen. It's just a question of how many times. I'm not saying necessarily in this game, but
right.
as the season goes on,
no doubt,
there'll be games that just happens. Like, before you know it, you're 3 minutes in, like, what the heck happened?
No doubt.
And you're under the gun the whole game.
That's why I say, and I'll probably do it every show on here, because I think it's much like turnovers in football, right, Hop?
Yeah.
I can put officiating style as one of the top 3 keys in every single game that this particular team plays. And guys, we did that. We've done that a lot over time and over history here. When John Beeline's teams would play, we wanted somebody, or you're the West Virginia fan, and you wanted somebody that would call everything, because you wanted freedom of movement on offense. And you go through the lane in some of those Big East games and Pitt threw a forearm shiver on you in the middle of the lane with no call. You were behind the 8 ball there trying to win. Then it switched over to Bob Huggins style, right, where you were saying similar to what I'm saying now in the Press Virginia days. Like, just swallow your whistle. Don't worry about what's going on. Just let them play. Don't look at that, right? So that the officiating style matters. It just simply does. And we can talk all day about whether there's good balls back. It just, style of how they decide to call the game that particular night matters, and it's going to matter to this West Virginia team.
Tony, what's the bigger difference in officiating? Is it crew to crew or conference to conference?
Well, the issue,
good question.
The issue that you have, again, they don't go in there to screw you. But, for example, when the game was adjudicated here last season, it's Big 12 officials working the game. When you go up there, it's ACC officials working the game. Now, there is some back and forth between officials, and so you could have guys that work both. So the issue is not that they go in and go, hey, this is an ACC team, but just the intangible is that you probably don't get the benefit of the doubt. And that's just the way it works when you're on the road for various reasons, right? the atmosphere, the crowd, that you just, whether the officials know it or not, sometimes you just lean into, and that happens when, I mean,
West Coliseum.
West Virginia again. West Virginia. I saw this last week. By the way, I'm still using your Ken Palm account. Haven't changed your username or your password. But anyway, West Virginia, the Coliseum, is ranked number 1 in the nation in most difficult place to play. Now think about that. Coming off a 9-win season, it's still number 1. So my point is, when you're on your home court, there's just inherent advantage.
A lot of that stat is derived from, and how many times on this show have we talked about this for West Virginia's basketball team, and it goes back to not just last year, but the last few years under Bob Huggins. West Virginia's free throw attempt rate was its biggest determining factor in getting a win. It got to the foul line a lot in those last few years, and a lot of times at home. So that's part of where they're deriving that home court advantage number from, is how many times you get the free throw line versus your opponent. But Hop, real quick, to answer the second part of your question, it does matter within leagues, though. There's no question the Big 12 is a much more physical league than the ACC is, or the Pac-12. And you're going to get, right, you got ACC officials tomorrow night. So that's why style matters. If they're used to more freedom of movement within the league, they could look at a style West Virginia's playing and say, hold on here, those look like fouls. Where you get into a Big 12 game and those crews may say, no, that's how this league plays. So that's why style does matter.
Tony, are you saying you get a better whistle at the Coliseum than Kansas gets at home?
Well, Ken Palm says that, but
Do you say that?
No, I think Kansas gets a better whistle at home. I mean, historically. It just, again, and again, I don't necessarily think officials go in there and say, hey, it's the vibe in the building. Until you've been inside that building, you really can't get a fair assessment of what it is. Brad, you've been there. You sat up near the top, right? I mean, it is just absolute electricity from about 30 minutes before the ball goes in the air. It's just a certain vibe, and I think it carries over. It just carries over to everyone on the floor. You know,
I remember back in the day growing up watching ACC basketball, watching Lefty Driesell and Maryland be at North Carolina.
Oh, yeah. Didn't get a few calls?
The left-hander certainly thought he did.
Yeah. You made one misstatement there.
Okay, what did I say?
There's a couple. You might want to go back and look. You said that the reason West Virginia is deemed the number 1 most difficult place to play is because of free throw attempts.
Right, free throw attempt rate.
Free throw attempt. Now, you must have misspoke, because West Virginia always gets screwed by the officials. The officials always have it in for West Virginia. Now, you're saying that West Virginia actually – now, you misspoke, right? You want to correct it now? Or?
No, that's true. 70th or 69th last year in the country. So there's 356 teams.
Yeah. Huh.
West Virginia was in the top 70 last year in a season in which it only won 9 games. Go back to the year before. 22nd
Excuse
nationally.
Me? They were what? 22nd nationally in free throw. That can't be. West Virginia always gets screwed.
Oh, you asked me about the year before?
Yeah.
Is that what you just said there? Yeah, that was 43rd in free throw attempt
Out of how
rate.
many schools?
350 some.
Oh, that can't be right.
Did you ask about the 2021 season too?
Well,
you asked about that? Yeah. 31st nationally in free throw attempt rate. Did you want to know about the 2020 season?
Yeah, what was it?
Yeah, that was a 23rd nationally in
out of how many schools?
Attempt rate. I think 350 some. The 2019 season, you can go back to that. 36th nationally in free throw attempt rate.
I don't know how
many years did I go back there? 7?
Yeah.
I don't know how they call the game. I mean, it's so physical.
That is true.
How do you call it? And with I think, and I'd love to talk to officials about this. What you hope for is it's just an equal whistle. Let's call it fairly.
That's it.
Lots of times it's surprising. I mean, when you look at the stat sheet at the end of the game, it's not surprising to be within 1 to 3 fouls between the two teams by the time it's over.
Basketball, college basketball at this level has become like defensive backs and receivers and pass interference, right? You're allowed to put your hands on, but when are you allowed to put your hands? And why did you call that a flag? Why did you pick that flag up? There's no doubt it's really hard. I get it.
It's a lot different than in football when you're calling targeting, because that's exact. I mean, you know exactly what you're getting with targeting on this call.
Yeah, there's no variance.
There's no variance on that.
It's very clear cut what that is.
All the time.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Okay, I'm done. That was a lot of numbers.
That's good.
Thanks for bearing with us there.
That's good.
Hey, listen.
Looking forward to it.
Don't apologize for providing information.
It's good information.
I didn't apologize. I thanked everybody.
I just think you should come back though and correct the fact that you say that West Virginia takes all those free throws. That can't be right because West Virginia always gets screwed by the officials. Everyone knows that.
Well, don't worry. I'll probably say that at some point, too, this year.
Because there will be a time when you get a bad whistle.
I'll probably jump right into that.
But you know what? What do coaches say to most of the time afterward when you get a bad whistle? You got to play through it.
Oh, you have to. You have no alternative.
Right?
They're not going to change them after the game. Time for Textual Healing, brought to us by episode 800.
What's that?
Just don't make bad calls.
Sure, it's going to happen.
What do you mean?
Coaches make bad decisions. Players make bad decisions. Officials make bad decisions, right? It happens. Part of the deal, unfortunately.
Get it right.
Episode800.com is now open. All operators are standing by. We're in the midst of our Christmas rush, and people are gobbling up that Mountaineer Munch popcorn that went on sale.
Is that available now? Is that available?
Went on sale Monday.
Okay.
Get it. Why stress yourself out as to what you're going to buy for various friend groups? Just go to episode800.com, buy our stuff. Tons of stuff. By the way,
that is a great gift for coworkers, clients.
Yeah.
Bring it to the office.
It's easy.
Right? Yeah.
You want to be an office favorite?
Comes right to your door.
Bring that in.
Because there are a lot of bad Christmas gifts that people give you, and they give them to you for Christmas, and you go, oh, hey, thanks. And while you're taking it, you're going like, this sucks. I don't want anything to do with this.
Wow, that's
true.
Someone took the time
to
give you the gift,
Yeah.
and you're judging the quality of the gift, not the intent?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Yeah, but just do both.
Remind me never to give
Have
anything.
good intent and give a good gift. Just get the Mountaineer Munch.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
That's what I'm trying to say.
That's what I'm trying to say.
That's what you're trying to say?
If you can get both, get it both right. Good intent and get a good gift.
So if you give someone Mountaineer Munch, I guarantee they're going to go like, that was freaking awesome. Plus our coffee's on there, the whole deal.
Those hats will be up there soon, too.
That'd be nice.
Our special 3 Guys edition
That'd
hat.
be nice.
Ready for some healing?
Mm-hmm.
Howdy, boys. Love the show. Couldn't help noticing that poor Hoppy doesn't have entrance music like Brad. I think this should be rectified with the help from my favorite wrestler from the 1980s, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Every show starting with Hoppy's obvious observations or HOO would come in with Hacksaw's emphatic, whoo! Up to you if Hoppy starts carrying a 2x4.
Good wrestling reference.
I got a bunch of more likely thans from your boy, Doug in Bridgeport.
Okay. I'll check those out.
There's a lot of them here.
Those are always good.
Can I just give you one?
Well, sure.
The Bears only give up 144 rushing yards per game. West Virginia averages 190. Is it more likely we rush for more than 190 or that Baylor wins the turnover battle?
Good one.
Is it more like? Say that again. Is more likely?
Is it more likely that West Virginia will rush for 190 or more yards, or that Baylor wins the turnover battle?
I'm not sure either one's likely.
The question is, which is more likely?
What's more likely? Probably Baylor that wins the turnover battle. I mean, statistically, it would be Baylor. Even though Baylor's even on turnovers, West Virginia's -4. I think if you got 190 yards rushing, Brad,
You probably win.
you'd be thrilled, absolutely thrilled. I don't think you get there, but it'd be nice.
By the way, he closes by saying congratulations to the Mountaineer men's soccer team, setting up another Mountain State showdown Sunday. Fortunately, this one will have a definitive winner. So they played to a tie in the regular season finale, and now they'll meet for the Sun Belt Championship on Sunday afternoon.
You know, the Fighting Stratfords have been coming from behind in their matches.
Yes, last night, just a couple of minutes in, they gave up a goal, and then within a matter of minutes, they answered right back.
Yeah.
I was listening, by the way, to that. I was right in front of the Coliseum while I was listening to the game, and a young man from U92, the campus radio station, had a very nice call on that. I was listening on the radio.
Good job.
Did a nice job. 3 Guys. I like the idea of the speakeasy, but you've scheduled it on round 2 of the high school football playoffs. Really?
Well, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, how do we know when the high school football playoffs are?
Well,
Might
actually,
be Tuesday at 2 in the afternoon.
he wrote this before that happened, so it's no longer
No longer operative.
Right.
round 2.
That's the point. How
Yeah,
do we know?
Don't know. No idea.
Got to do our event when we do our event.
And by the way, we scheduled our event. It's going to be on that day. will not be held up by the courts. Although it is a speakeasy, there could be a judicial issue there.
No, because there's no one knows where it is.
Are there spots available? That thing.
Thank you.
I understand there was some
What now?
heavy early interest in that. Is there still seats available?
There's approximately 15 to 20 spots still available for the speakeasy. You can email, get the password and explanation at info@episode800.com, info@episode800.com. It takes place from 5 until 9 p.m. A week from this Friday, the night before the UCF game. Hudson Clement's dad, Mike, will be performing.
He's a regular.
And we're going to raise dollars and getting it for the young lady in Martinsburg.
So that's November 22.
Okay.
That's the night of the event, right?
Yep.
November 22.
Is that,
Yes.
is that a Friday?
Friday night. So you email, what is it?
info@episode800.com.
And then you get a password that allows
It'll
you
let
to
you
get in.
get in.
But it's a speakeasy, so don't tell anybody.
Correct. Can I?
Only people who know that it's happening will get in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can I say we're going to do something without asking you to before I say
Well,
it?
imagine-
That's
here we
never
go.
happened on this show,
Okay,
so
go ahead.
we'll allow
sure.
it this one
Mike,
time.
Yeah.
I think.
Uh-oh.
I think what we do, rather than just
Are you thinking out loud, or did you think this out?
I thought this out. Rather than just mingle with the people at the speakeasy, rather than just kind of walk around and mingle.
I enjoy that.
I know it's not. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying that,
What now?
like, let's say about 7:30 or 8 o'clock, right? Why don't we pull 3 stools up and just do a little Q&A with the people there? Kind of a mini show.
I don't know.
I mean, it's fine. Be rude to the people then. That's
No,
fine.
well, look, we haven't talked about this. If that's what you want to do, I'll do. I'm saying that it's nice when we just divide up and go around and talk to people and spend quality time with individuals. And
Maybe we can do both.
And not just
Mediate this.
not just be aloof and distant from everybody. Like, I don't want to talk to you personally, but I'll be on a stool and you can.
We could probably figure out how to do both of those things.
Just thought it might. If the people,
We can do.
if the people
Walk around
listen,
and we can-
I'm just saying, if the people listen to the show,
Yeah.
they obviously like listening to the show. I thought, why not give them a private audience of like us doing the show, and they can just fire stuff as like, instead of reading these, they can just fire questions. Never mind, we won't do it.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say.
No. You two can do it now. I'm just gonna stand in the corner. I'll hang around with Delightful Dave over in the corner.
All right.
info@episode800.com if you'd like to join us. Texter says, I heard the podcast Sunday about the red card on that Beckley player in the state title game.
Yeah, that was wild.
That was my son,
Oh.
Oh, good. Okay, here we
Tyler
go.
Snyder. He's senior captain last game.
Hold on. What name was what?
Tyler Snyder.
Okay.
He did not score the goal, though. That was Hagen Hall, and the pass was from A.J. Bishop. Definitely a laughable moment, and only my son would do something like that. Multiple kids got a yellow, but since he already had the other yellow, that's why he got ejected with the red. Anyway, thanks for bringing it up. So there's the picture. That is the greatest picture in the world.
Yeah.
The kid's got his shirt off. He's taller than the ref. That makes it even more funny. And he's hugging the ref, and the ref's got that. And that ref, like, that's not shoulder high for that referee. I mean, he's all the way up as high as he can go.
You know, it's really remarkable. First of all, the stories that come out of that game for those kids later on in life, right, as they celebrate that state championship and they scored in the last moment, and you add something like that onto it. Those are going to be funny stories 25 years when those guys get together.
Yeah, and that's what Tyler will tell his kids and grandkids. You know, like, I want to show you this picture. What are you, Dad? What are you getting a red card for?
Yes. Texter says,
Yeah, that's a separate explanation to you.
hey,
Don't you
Scope,
get a red card?
hey, Scope, Senator and Swiss cheese aficionado planned a tailgate and acquired 20 tickets to the Cincinnati game.
Wow.
I've cultivated a group of several local non-West Virginia grads into Mountaineer fans.
Well done.
I planned the tailgate through a company that organizes a ready-made tailgate. Upon arriving, the manager of said company offered us an on-field suite for 8 people. Selfishly, I readily accepted. We had the time of our lives throughout the win, even going on the field after the victory. Look, pictures.
Oh, my.
After all the texts I received, I assumed that we were famous for all our celebratory antics on camera during the game.
Oh, there's Nico.
The only shock was when we received a bill for the alcohol that we over-imbibed, assuming it was included in the deal. Also, I may have told Rasheed Marshall how handsome he was. Very awkward for my wife. On leaving the field after the game, we could not resist giving a thanks for having us. Signed by P7 listener Ryan in Covington, Kentucky. I saw Rasheed today. I said, dude, some drunk guy come up to you at the field, said that you were handsome. He goes, yeah, it's kind of weird. I kid when I say he was drunk, but he said he over-imbibed, so I'm making that assumption, Hoppy. Is that fair?
Well, it sounds to me like they embraced the atmosphere there.
Absolutely.
And had a good time and saw Rasheed.
Got to win.
Rasheed is a good-looking guy.
He's a fine-looking man. He said the most popular...
Better shape than when he played.
Oh, he's in tremendous shape.
I wouldn't say he's in better shape than when he played. I'd say he's in similar shape.
I don't know.
No chance. He's in better shape than when he played.
Because you know why? He hasn't had to run the ball 16 times in a game and get beat up.
Yeah. It is said the most popular guy in town is always the backup quarterback. I think if Garrett trots on the field Saturday, possibility some in the crowd might boo.
I would hope not.
That is the absolute worst thing our fans could do, especially the way that Gigi has given us 100% and stuck with us since high school. Please use all of your three guys, Metro News, MSN powers to encourage people to cheer whichever quarterback starts the game Saturday. Signed by Steve in Tennessee.
I don't think that would happen.
No.
I would hope not.
Texter says this football season has felt very uneven and difficult to enjoy. Living outside of the state for over 2 decades, I can say the feelings of constant highs and lows, not particular to Mountaineers, and had been worse in recent years. I looked at the Big 12 standing this week thinking about opportunities that lie in front, and I was struck with some of what I remember to be the preseason rankings. While the old gold and blue are technically 6th with tiebreakers, they were picked 7. Some conference brethren feeling a lot worse are folks at the bottom. Preseason ranking, 12th Kansas, currently in 12th. They're 4. They were picked 4. UCF, they were picked 8. They're 13. Arizona picked 5. They're 14. Utah's picked 1st. They're 15. Whew, that'll make your AD get mad. Oklahoma State, they were picked 3. They're 16. I'm not sure it really makes me feel better, but it does give some context to the ridiculous volatility of current major college athletes. Mm-hmm. Thanks 2.5 guys for all the insight, straight-up entertainment, and connection to my home state each week. Signed by P1 Vince in Indianapolis.
I know nobody wants to hear this, but as you look down the records of college football teams, I think 95% of them, Brad, are 5-4 or 6-3. I mean, there's
some balance.
Yeah.
Listen, that's a good text on some of those numbers. This league has proven to be what we thought it was in the summer, that it would be tightly packed, and you didn't know, and the pollsters missed again for the second year in a row when trying to pick the preseason poll, and they missed horrifically. And, it's a topsy-turvy competitive league. And this isn't a college football playoff discussion. Unfortunately, that hurts a national narrative for people that want to prop up the SEC and the Big Ten. But this is an entertaining league week to week because of the nature of what we always say. And we're joking about it for this Baylor game, but it's another spread that's right in that 2.5, 3 range, which you get a lot of those.
3 Guys Before the Game is brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. Did you know that they're currently expanding? They right now have over 70 locations, 74 to be exact. They've been doing this for over 40 years, and they're getting bigger because they're reaching out to entrepreneurs who might want to take hold and have their own Tudor's Biscuit location. Fast, casual restaurant chain with a great, great brand. Made from scratch buttermilk biscuits, homemade breakfast items, adored by tens of thousands of daily customers across 4 states. Tudor's Biscuit World. If you've been thinking about getting onto that side of the world, they're available. Check it out.
When I said
Lori, by the way, handles that for them.
She's terrific. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When I said that 95% are 5-4, 6-3, I was being hyperbolic.
You were
that.
But there's a lot of that.
We got it. Perry, this is a private message. Perryopolis Phil, I received your link. Love it. I'm going to do more with it. More to come. Future episodes. Thank you. That concludes our direct comment to Perryopolis.
That's interesting.
Nate in the Kanawha Valley. Well, if we're going to lose the tailgate spot to a business, at least it's a donut shop. Donuts while shopping at Daniel's seems like a pretty good time to me. Rapid fire. What is each guy's favorite donut? Signed by Nate in the Kanawha Valley.
Cake.
Cake donut?
Cake donut. Which I guess is they call a yeast donut. Is that
Plain?
right? Yeah, plain.
Ugh. Okay.
Plain cake donut.
Okay. I'm a chocolate cake donut with chocolate icing.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I'll go with that too.
Glaze.
Yeah, glaze. Okay. It sounds like very traditional guys here.
Texter, apologies for being a week late on this text, but
I'm hungry for a chocolate on chocolate donut.
There's some donuts upstairs.
Is there a chocolate on chocolate cake?
Not
there
sure.
is. There
I'll
is.
eat those chocolate glazed though too. I'm not opposed to that.
Would you go? Okay. Let's say.
Well, cream filled too. I'd take that.
You
Donuts are a weak spot for me.
All right, here's a question.
Shock.
So, I don't think we eat that many donuts, but we would. We like them, you know.
Yeah.
So let's say you're craving a donut or a snack, and you look at what's brought in upstairs, and there's one donut left, and it has sprinkles. Would you?
Yeah. I'm not opposed to sprinkles.
So you would go
If I was hungry and one donut left,
but as the sprinkles.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't like sprinkles?
Yeah, I'm a no sprinkle guy.
No, I do sprinkles.
You do sprinkles?
Yeah. If it was a chocolate cake donut with chocolate icing, I don't. Yeah.
If I was hungry and it was the last donut, I might eat the cardboard that comes in the box.
I also like those chocolate donuts with the coconut on those.
Oh yeah.
I'll eat that too.
Let me tell you a donut story. So,
Okay.
my dad's grocery store. So it was an L-shaped checkout counter. So the cash register is right here, and then the L here. People put their food there, and then we had boxes of fresh donuts, Freddy's Donuts, Buffalo, New York, legendary place. And they went from here to here. So I'm a kid. I'm probably like 10, 12 years old, 13, working the cash register. And those fresh donuts would come in from Buffalo.
Oh.
I would eat, and I hand to the Bible here. I would eat minimum 6 glazed donuts without even cracking a sweat.
I see that.
Like 6
Were
to 8.
they all glazed or were they different
glazed.
kinds?
I would and what I would do, such a slob,
You'd scrunch it and then pound it.
It'd take 2 bites.
Yeah.
I'd fold it, boom, bop, 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 another one, and wash it down with a cola.
Boy, how you are still standing.
It's all genetics.
Real quick, we're already way off the subject here. Were there any limits put in place by your dad on stuff? You could just walk over and grab 4 Snickers bars if you want?
Yeah, so his whole deal was like if I ate good food, I could eat a barge.
Because you could do those sandwiches. You had the full made-to-order grill, all that stuff.
And when I was in my peak growth time, like 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, we had a 25-foot lunch counter, had a beautiful grill. I would eat 2 large subs every day that I would make. Like I would make these unbelievable things, just like sausage, peppers, mushrooms, onion, warm area, the roll. I'd eat 2 of those a day, and then I'd eat pizza.
So all of that was fine. I get that, but I've also seen you attack M&Ms and stuff, and that stuff just is sitting out in the store.
Yeah. So his deal on that was if it was just like horrifically sugar bad food, like he might look at me every once in a while and go like, "Don't be stupid. Like go get 5 apples."
but never really. No, you can't do that. Or
no. Well, heck, I was free labor. It was the greatest deal in the world for him. He never paid me. It was indentured servitude.
So like if his thing was 3 Snickers, you're like, okay,
yeah,
go
sure.
ahead.
Oh, hey, he ate $11 worth of food today. So what? Probably owe him like a couple thousand. Yeah, boy.
Very good.
Anyway,
go ahead. Sorry, got us off.
Anyway, apologize for being late on this, Tony. Does Tony have an impersonation of fellow Syracuse alum and Bearcat play-by-play and Cincinnati Bengals play-by-play voice Dan Horde? Scott from the Woodlands. No, I don't have a Horde. By the way, Dan is being honored next week, getting the Marty Glickman Award, which is the highest honor you can get at Syracuse. Marty Glickman, legendary Olympian, Syracuse grad, and announcer. And he gets the Glickman Award in New York City. Yeah.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah, great. That's great. Now, by the way, Horde does a lot of great imitations.
Oh, he does?
All of us guys do them. And so, I think he might have a Sean.
Isn't that don't you have a class at Syracuse?
Yeah, you have to do a Sean.
Like Sean Impersonations
Yes.
101?
Very good. Dan Horde. By the way, McDonough is introducing Horde for the Glickman Award. He's a wonderful young man. Known him for many years. Texter. The Speakeasy raid at the end of the last episode was solid gold. Keep up the A+ content. Oh, that was when we were doing, all right, O'Malley, get out of there.
You better get him out the back door before the police get here.
All right, where's this delightful Dave? We know he's the guy that put this thing together. Oh, boy.
Keep going. You got a lot of texts.
Hey, it was great to root for the women's hoop team while building cabinets. I even got to listen to 2 of my favorite songs, which happened to make my day. I watch a lot of sports, even put it on for background noise. But why is it our student section seems like it's as far away as possible compared to other schools? Most teams, you see the students behind the hoops to be as much of a distraction. The other teams shoot foul shots. I feel like one side, lower level, as much as I hate to say Pitt puts their students in the end zone, causes quite the disturbance. I know they're not going to change where they sit tomorrow because of my comment, but I'd also love to hear input as to why. Also, Tony, if Andrew was not introduced as Andrew, I don't know if I would have been able to tell the difference. I believe West Virginia would be great hands for years to come. Great day to be a Mountaineer. Thank you very much. So, obviously, West Virginia's got a little bit behind its baskets is an extremely unique. Not many places look like West Virginia does behind the basket. What is there's like about what? Say 15 feet?
And then some cabinets.
They're not cabinets.
In the old days.
Yeah. What's back there now? I don't know.
You got the Peak Club on one end, and then you got the tunnel.
Oh, I thought it was cabinets.
I know what you're saying. It used to look like that.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So I've learned through the years, sir, like I don't go anywhere near any conversations that ask about seating, who sings this song. I'm sorry, but I just I'm out. I don't do it, don't need it, not worth it. And that's why this guy.
That's why he got out.
Wish he would have abided by that when I worked there and was in charge of that stuff.
How often did he come to you with that stuff?
He and other radio station employees love to do that.
I'm out of it, though. I've retired from it.
Other radio station employees?
Yeah. Constant pain in my...
Chased you out of the business. I hate to see it. You didn't have anything to do with cheerleading, did you? Taking care of those issues, did you?
Yeah.
You get phone calls about the Mountaineer, things like that?
Get phone calls about everything. Part of the deal.
You happy you don't get those calls anymore?
It was a lot.
I don't think I ever called you about anything.
No, you didn't. You would not be on that list of radio station folks that called a lot.
All right, good.
You could probably guess a couple that it would.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
They probably call you and have the perfect music list that you need to play before the game.
Everybody's got the music list. Everybody knows the perfect music list, Hop.
And if you changed one, you might get some calls about that.
There are 10 to 12,000 people sitting in that building. Chances of everybody liking the song that you're playing are really slim. Just public service announcement.
Hey, 3 guys, Professor Vinny here. So I have been efforting on getting the Googles to add pontoon boats to their map apps as a travel option. You'll be happy to know they have finally acquiesced to my request. See the picture attached. So now you can do it by a pontoon. So he put in go from Pittsburgh to Morgantown on a pontoon, and he calculated the time. So thank you, Professor Vinny. And, of course, all pontoons come from the premier pontoon boat dealer in the state of West Virginia. It's Lou Wendell Marine Sales. Take a pontoon from Pittsburgh to Morgantown from Lou Wendell Marine Sales.
Is that real?
Absolutely, it's real. Tell you what, this sabbatical that Professor Vinny's been on pretty long. Because he obviously ain't teaching. Anyway, here we go. Hey, 3 guys. Jake, originally from Preston County, currently live West Texas. One of the couples that I go to church with, the grandparents of Jarrett Deggy, and another one of their other grandchildren is Kyler Jordan, who's playing linebacker for Baylor. They're flying into Morgantown for the game this weekend to watch Kyler. Always a West Virginia connection.
How about that? That's a little
awesome
note there.
Yeah.
Add that note to your chart. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. So his grandparents are going to be here. Kyler Jordan, I'll make that note. I'll do it like McDonough.
That's a nice note.
That is a nice note.
You wanted me to McDonough it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And the tackle made by Kyler Jordan. Grandparents from West Texas are here watching today in person.
That's all you got to do. Very good.
Yeah.
You'll be ready for that.
They're the grandparents of Jarrett Deggy, which is the ironic part. They're the grandparents of
both
both
that's another
of us.
couple. This is another couple.
Oh, no.
And another one of their other grandchildren Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's what I'm saying. That was the whole point of the note.
They're the grandparents of Deggy, and another one of their other grandchildren is Kyler.
So Kyler, Jordan, and Jared Deggy are
cousins.
second cousins?
Would be cousins. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's a good note.
Kyler, Jordan,
Hey, double.
cousin. Yeah, it's probably they probably had a daughter, and it's probably changed the name. Probably, like I said, I don't change the songs. I don't ask for song changes or where the students sit, and I don't do names.
You're going to do that, though.
I'll use that one.
All right.
What's more likely to happen? West Virginia makes the Big 12 title game, or West Virginia loses out? Sean in Florida.
I don't think you're losing out.
Jeremy in Cooperstown. That's where the Baseball Hall of Fame, I think, is located. Still there, is it?
And I'm not sure the championship game's set yet. There's some.
Oh,
this is tricky for BYU this weekend against Kansas.
Yes, it is.
Although I think every single person placing a bet is on Kansas. I think every one of them.
Every
I
bet
haven't
is on
confirmed
Kansas?
that, but I think every single bet that's unconfirmed. I think every single bet that is being placed is on Kansas.
Kansas might be getting hot.
They rolled last week. Jeremy says, it's been a roller coaster, boys. 3 to go. Everyone we need to lose ahead of us pretty much play each other. There's a path. We went out. I love our chances playing in the title game. All I'm going to say about Baylor is they've never won in Morgantown. No need to break that streak now. Knock on wood. Quick West Virginia connection. My new company truck had been shipped to our Pittsburgh branch, so I drove down from New York to get it. Met a longtime friend from Buchanan in South Point for dinner. He showed up with a chrome flying West Virginia logo for my new ride. Thanks, Richie. I love how we West Virginians know that a truck is not a truck without something WVU on it. Lastly, I love what Darren DeVries is doing. Beat Pitt.
I guess you all knew, but I forget things. I was a little surprised that Baylor had never won in Morgantown, thinking a couple of those Baylor teams, Brad, were really good a few years back.
They came in here number 4.
They were 4.
1 year.
Yep.
I thought Dana's best coaching job.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Hello. Hi. Well, I guess they wanted all capital letters. Jeez.
Speaking of bringing pressure, Tony Gibson brought some pressure that night.
Ooh.
Remember the cornerbacks were injured?
Yes,
You were playing with backup corners. Gibby just brought $1 billion right at them. They couldn't
called
handle it.
71 interference penalties on Kevin White.
And we've talked about this before, but I think it was Dana's best coaching job because of the mindset he put those guys in, right? He
Told
said,
them everything.
Not going to be
you
intimidated.
are not going to come in here and get bullied by those guys, right? Everything's short of punching people.
That's
Go
what he
ahead.
said. Literally said.
Right?
He said you can do anything you want to do except punch them.
Yeah.
You will not get bullied by them.
Yeah.
And
Did not get bullied
Gibby,
by them.
now Gibby would bring pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Gibby would
He'll
bring
roll
heat.
dice. He'll
He
roll
would.
dice.
Oh, yeah. He'll do it.
Hi, Tony, Brad, and Hoppy. Hope you all have a safe trip to Pittsburgh. Hope we come back with the W. Absolutely loving the way our men and women's teams are hustling and competing. So much fun to watch. With that being said, part of my heart crumbled when I heard there would be no food court this week for Baylor. We could let Hoppy try it solo as a trial, maybe. Could be interesting. You see, I was only able to make it to one home game this year due to some sickness, death in the family, my wife and I work schedule. Anyways, I'd been planning for weeks in hopes of meeting, hanging out, devouring some Rev Kev BBQ. Please be efforting to make it happen next year. I promise I'll be there early in the season. I support. Love you guys for all you do for the Mountaineer Athletics, and will always be a P1 listener. Seth in Charlestown.
Well, sorry, Seth. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
That's a bummer.
Can we just tell him to go to Kevin's house and have Kevin warm something up?
Probably not. But
Kevin would be more than happy to do that.
But he probably would, but don't put him in that.
Kevin would be. He's a pastor. That's what he does. He helps people.
Okay, but I understand. By the way, I ordered a Thanksgiving turkey from RevKev.
Really?
Yeah.
He's just going to smoke it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great
That's
idea.
a good idea.
Yeah.
So he'll do that for people?
No, they're in turkeys now.
Excuse me?
They're in turkeys now.
What do you mean they're in Turkey?
I mean, they've added turkeys to the menu, and I think they're doing turkeys for.
Thanksgiving.
I think so. Well,
Is this a special deal he's doing,
you
or
know
is he
what?
doing turkeys?
I might have Tony'd that. I might have Tony'd that a little bit.
Can we get a ruling on this?
I hope I'm not taking his family's Thanksgiving.
Hey, Siri, text Kevin Kane.
What do you want to say to Kevin Kane?
Are you guys smoking turkeys and selling them for Thanksgiving? ? Please respond quickly. I'm on the air.
Okay.
I'll find out.
I hope I did. I thought we were at one of the tailgates, And they were passed around. Remember, we're experimenting with turkey, he said, and we're trying to, the turkey was delicious. It was moist.
Unbelievable. It was tasty.
I never got any of that.
It was very
Oh, really?
tasty.
Well, I never got any of that.
Well, they are. And then I thought he said, I thought I understood that he was doing turkeys for Thanksgiving like he does for other events and, raise money for his cause.
Get on the Source?
All right.
What is it, the website?
I don't know. This is like a 4-hour podcast.
Just stand by 1 second. There's only 2 left. What do you believe would be the backlash from the mainstream sports networks if West Virginia does the improbable and makes the title game in the Big 12 and then into the playoffs? Going to be a lot of unhappy Big 10 SEC fans out there, but being the fan I am, I'd still say thanks for having us.
What's the website?
SourceWV.org. Last one. Oh, and I got 2 more things. Had a great time in Cincinnati over the weekend. Shout out to the Republic of Cincinnati for hosting a first-class tailgate. Everything from biscuits and gravy to ribs, delicious. Plus, we tried their NIL beer. It's called Cincy Lights, their NIL beer. Not bad, but our NIL our NIL and Connection 304 much better. I'll leave you all with a screenshot of me on TV again. We're 2-0 when my mug is shown. There is, under the number 17, that's Jennings, starcher at the contest.
Rev Kev's brisket and barbecue Thanksgiving turkeys now available.
Awesome.
All proceeds benefit the Source. Click here to order a turkey.
Listen, don't get all loud and chesty now that you confirm that because you were backpedaling like crazy.
I was. Hey, he looked like Perlo Bastine backpedaling on that one there.
I was moving back.
All right, last thing. Austin, let's get these pictures. So we, collectively, us, through Dave, have floor-level tickets to women's basketball right underneath the basket. And Dave is willing to share those. So he sent out a text and said, if you'd like 2 tickets to
tweet, I think, right?
a tweet to the last game. So these 2 folks still cannot say thanks enough for the opportunity to go to the women's game. Great seats. My friend and coworker Beth and I had a great time, especially with an awesome Mountaineer win. I was a student during Press Virginia. It's good to see the women's team has the same grit and mentality to force 30 turnovers. I hope they enjoyed visiting our state from their neighborhood. Let's go Mountaineers and eat more lamb. So the young lady was the lady I bought the lamb from,
how about
Jennifer.
That? Yeah, she is.
So
those are good seats.
So Dave sends that out as a tweet, and he'll do that on several occasions. Just follow 3 guys, and you could get those floor seats for a game.
That's a pretty good deal.
Plus, it's a pretty good deal.
It's a good deal, and the women are Coach Kellogg has them on a roll here. Just knocked off Pitt.
Very good. Playing well.
Yeah, things got a little chippy there. Did you watch the end of the Pitt game?
I did.
Well, it's the Pitt game.
There was some technical fouls
There was.
assessed there at the end.
There was.
Well, you don't come in here and start throwing down.
Bring that back. I'm back up the road with you.
You're going to walk over.
Come on.
It's a short walk.
You can walk on that floor. You're going to limp back in that locker room. 3 guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe and secure and efficient for 25 years. Whether you need 10 pages printed or 1,600, they got you. By Gomart, get a Gomart rewards card, immediately begin savings. Go to Gomart.com for details. Download the Gomart app.
Your whole studio is going to be taken up by a printer.
It was a nice one. He showed me a picture of it. Oh, it is nice.
Is it bigger than the one here?
Oh, dude, it was as big as the one upstairs.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and I said,
it's industrial.
Yeah, it's industrial.
Nice.
Yeah. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. Pontoon up to Pittsburgh.
Printer cartridge cost $800.
Well, that was the reason for the initial situation that I'm in. Costs more for the cartridges than it does for a printer.
I can believe that. Yeah.
3 guys brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way. And by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers.
Go to our website, get printer cartridges.
Go to our website and order a Kevin Kane smoked turkey. Go to the sourcewv.org and he'll get a smoked Kevin Kane Rev Kev barbecue turkey.
You know what would go nice with that smoked turkey from Kev?
What?
Mountaineer Munch popcorn.
No. Connection 304.
Well, that would
then
too.
the popcorn.
Yeah, put that popcorn right on that table. That'll be a hit.
Now that Connection 304, that Connection 304 is available, starting to get across the state right now. Go-Marts carry it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Get it at the Go-Marts.
Yeah. All right. Brad's got a roll. He's
champing
nervous.
at the bit.
He's chomping. All right. Thanks for being producer Austin. We're back Sunday to drop the next episode. We'll recap everything we just talked about. See you.